Hey there, and welcome to the Flourish and Health podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I'm so glad that you are here. Well, we are in full force of December, and I'm excited. I love this time of year. I love the decorations and the gathering and the music and all of the things. And so I hope that there is some joy for you as you walk through this season. I know not everybody loves this season, this time of year, but for me, it brings me a lot of joy. I was reflecting this morning actually because a year ago, my family and I were in Singapore. We had my husband Matt and my daughter McKenna and we had flown from Ohio all the way to Singapore and arrived early in the morning there in Singapore. And we were able to see my son Ryan as he was performing on a ship out that way. And so we got to board the ship in Singapore and then do that wonderful vacation. If you follow me at all, last year, you know that we got to go to some wonderful places, to Singapore, to Bali, and to Australia. And so I was reminiscing this morning and man, missing the time spent there in that beautiful country, but not missing the long flight that it takes to get there. That is no small feat to go through, but I loved reminiscing. And so I'd love to hear whenever I think back of those different things. I love reminiscing on the things that just brought so much joy and happiness into my life. And I think it's important to do that. It's times when things maybe don't always feel so great. It's good to step back and look at some of the things that we can be grateful for, things that we found joy and excitement in, because sometimes those days are not so easy to get through. But when we look towards things that we can be grateful for, it's a lot of fun just to reminisce and look back. And so I'm not going to be talking about Singapore and all those things, though I could forever, talking about how many fun things that we were able to do and see. But today I really wanted to jump into something that came into my heart when I was watching actually a reel. So I'm not a big fan, and I always say don't get stuck in the scroll hole, right? Don't continue to scroll and scroll and scroll, because you catch a reel or two and man, they will draw you in. And so I wasn't feeling well a few weeks ago, and so I kind of got onto a little bit of a habit, and so I've been breaking myself from that. But I do allow myself a little bit. Maybe I want to look up a reel about something that I wanted to learn. Maybe there was something I saved to learn how to do a DIY or something. But this one comedian or talk show host, I don't know, he's from another country. I don't even know. He's from the UK, I believe. I don't know what his name is, even though it pops up once in a while on my feed. But he seems to interview a lot of stars and some people that are in Hollywood. And so I thought, it'd be kind of neat to watch this one because it popped up and it was about the Grinch, but it was really about Jim Carrey. And so today I'm going to share a little bit about what I learned from that reel with Jim Carrey. Hi, and welcome to the Flourish and Health podcast. My name is Stephanie Book, and I am so glad you are here. My hope is to help others see their life beyond where they currently are right now, move away from places where they feel stuck, and empower them to move into a flourishing life. Together, we will learn to recognize our true identity in Christ and apply a reframed mindset to combat the lies that we've been believing about ourselves. We will walk the journey of flourishing in our health, in mind, body, and our connection with God. I'm so excited to walk this journey with you as we create new habits of thinking and turn toward a life that is flourishing. Hey friends, before we go into the rest of the episode, I wanted to bring some focus into the God Box workshop that I talked about last week in the episode. Now, I didn't advertise it or talk about it before it started because I really just decided to kind of come up with that on the fly. But I know that in the past, I've done other workshops. I did a manifestation box that was really cool. But I thought I have been talking about this God Box forever. Since I read Craig Groeschel's book, Win the War in Your Mind, he had talked about this God Box. And I have used this as part of my just my ways of looking back and collecting my thoughts and bringing those worries back to God. So I would love to partner with you and let's do this together. Let's create this God Box in ways where we can put our worries into a box and really seal them up and give them to the Lord. If you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you check out last week's episode, Do Not Worry, and you'll understand a little bit more about that. But I would love to, if you want to take part of that workshop, please put box in the comments or send me a message at steph.book or just click the link in the show notes and you'll get all the information you need, and hopefully we can do that together. Okay. So I was watching this reel about Jim Carrey. He was being interviewed, and he was, first of all, he was talking about the Grinch movie. If you haven't seen the Grinch live action with Jim Carrey, you're missing out. But he has extensive makeup on his face. I should have found a picture or something, but it's crazy amount of the detail that is on his face. So you know that it probably took a while. So in this interview, the gentleman was asking him, how long did it take to put this makeup on? And he would say 5 to 8 hours. And he was then talking about different ways that he would go through this torture, so to speak. They actually put him through some training that people that are like special ops or people who have to maybe endure some torture of like what are some mechanisms that they could use to endure this type of torture, being able to sit in a chair where people are picking and prodding at your face for 5 to 8 hours. That doesn't sound fun to me. And I'm sure it was very difficult for Jim Carrey. He made very much a big light about it, but you know that it was something difficult. And one of the things he said, which made me laugh, was that the Bee Gees is what got him through. But he said, he asked him, well, how many times did he have to do that Grinch makeup? And he said 100 times. Can you imagine sitting in a chair 100 times for 8 hours where people are picking and prodding at your face and putting stuff on? You're not really able to use your mouth the way you want to. He said he had to have a really long straw and different things like that. And so that was part of it. It just kind of intrigued, that pulled me in. But then they shifted the conversation a little bit. And this is the part that I really wanted to share about, but I just thought it was so interesting how there's different parts of our lives that sometimes we have to endure through different things that might be painful, but there's always a better reward at the end. So they shifted a little bit and they started talking about this contract of doing the Grinch movie. And Jim Carrey told a story about when he was in second grade, I believe. And he said that he had a teacher that just seemed to like say, well, it will work out. It will come to fruition. What I want, I'll get. And he kind of had this idea of like, well, if you say it, it will happen. If you believe it, it will happen. So as a second grader, Jim Carrey said he wanted a bike. And so he learned from his second grade teacher that if he wanted it, if he manifested it, if he said that it was going to be so, it would happen. So he went home, he prayed that he wanted a new bike. He said he wanted a new bike. And I don't remember if he said it, maybe a couple weeks later, he goes downstairs and what do you find but a brand new bike downstairs? And he was like, where did this come from? Like, this is your bike. His parents were like, this is for you. And he's like, well, where did it come from? He's like, well, you won it. And he was like, I won it? How did I win it? And apparently one of his friends saw a drawing to win a bike. And so he put his own name in and he put Jim Carrey's name in. And sure enough, Jim Carrey won that bike. So, and as a second grader, he was hooked on manifestation. He was like, if this works, then I'm going to continue to do that. Spending time, he prayed for it, he manifested, he spoke it into agreement of what he wanted to see in his life. And now I'm not saying that everything works perfectly magically like that. As far as, you're not going to just rub the genie lamp and poof, we're going to have what we want. But there is a sense, I have been learning a lot about the idea of manifestation, looking ahead, and I am aligned with what God says. And so I want to make sure that I'm aligned with what God wants for me. And so, like I said, it's not just like I wish this and I'll have this command. And sometimes there are different things that we really, really want that maybe God doesn't want for us. But there is that sense of looking forward, looking toward the things that we want to create in our lives and speaking that over ourselves. And that doesn't hurt at all. If anything, it makes a huge difference. So Jim Carrey went on a little bit more and they're talking about this Grinch movie. Well, that movie was able to be another manifestation that came to fruition for him. So he had written himself a $10 million check. I can't even imagine, but he wrote himself a $10 million check for acting services rendered. And when he did the Grinch movie, he achieved that goal and he was able to literally create that income for his life. So if you have any ideas or have any thoughts of like manifestation is possible, maybe you need to take a little bit of learning from Jim Carrey. And it pulled me back a little bit because I thought, what what do I limit the Lord? What do I limit myself by putting down those negative thoughts or saying, oh, that's good for somebody else or that won't work for me? What if I shifted and looked at things a little bit differently? What if I said, hey, I want to create this, I want to create a vacation for my husband and I to go on an amazing vacation for our anniversary. And I can imagine it into my mind and I can speak over it. I can say, we're going to go to these places and we're going to see these different things and we're going to spend this time together. We're going to be able to, enjoy a time of remembering the marriage that we have had together and one that we get to continue to move forward through. And we get to do this beautiful place. Like, what is wrong with putting that out there and really dreaming about that? Looking at the ways that I can create that in my life. Yes, I want to manifest that. And yes, I need to do work to be able to create that to happen. I'm not, like I said, it's not just a rubbing of a genie and poof, it comes. Jim Carrey definitely just didn't write a $10 million check and then set aside and hope that it was going to happen, right? He worked, he did movie after movie after movie and making all of us laugh. And yes, he had an amazing talent, and not all of us are going to maybe have that part of our $10 million check given to us for acting services rendered, because that might not be the actual thing that you need. But maybe we're just making everything too small. We put God in a box. Like we talk about that all the time. We make him smaller. You know, he is an amazing God. He moves mountains. He brought Lazarus back from the dead. Like, he does amazing things. So why do we limit what he can do? And so I guess I want to challenge you this week. What are some things that you could put down to really bring to the Lord and start really manifesting what you want to create in your life? Not in a weird woo-woo way, but in a way of like, hey, God, this is where I see you leading me in my life. I would love to be able to create this for my family, or be able to impact these many people in my business, or be able to provide an amazing vacation for my children. But it's okay to do that. It's okay to manifest and look forward to exciting and great opportunities and things that you want for yourself. You know, I think what we say over our minds is what we believe. And so if we can constantly tear ourselves down, if we are constantly saying, well, that's good for those people, but it's not good for me. If we continually speak over these negative thoughts over our minds and our hearts, that is what our hearts and minds are going to believe. And I really truly believe there is a difference in how we approach things. And I've learned that over time, and I'm still learning, how to shift that perspective, look at things a little bit differently and think, well, what could be different if I made this decision this way? Or if I started writing these affirmations down with that belief, that trust that God has got it figured out, that I don't have to worry anymore, and that my heart's desires are there for a reason, and that I can move toward those things. So I hope that this helped you. Like I said, I never expected that I'd be talking about Jim Carrey on my podcast, but it just really took me back when he talked about all these different things, the steps that he went through to create what he wanted in his life. And I hear countless stories of people, especially people that are in the entrepreneurial area, where they start really focusing on what they want to create. Yes, you have to work towards your goals. You cannot just say, I want this, and poof, it's going to happen. That's very, very, very few and far between, if anything, and even if you look at Hollywood and the people that are successful, it's a very small percentage that are going to get $10 million for a movie. But what are the things that you can look forward to in your life, that you can create in your life, that you can say, hey, God, I'm giving this to you. I can see a bright future. I can see me being able to do these things that you've laid on my heart that is possible. The success in your business is possible. The success in your health and your body, making those choices and saying, I see myself living my healthiest, best life, being able to run around with my grandchildren, or, take the plane and be able to buckle the seatbelt and fly for 17 hours and be able to make it through without issues. There are so many different things that we can speak over ourselves and really see the greatness that can come from that. So I encourage you, my friends, this is very different than I normally talk about, but as I'm learning how to speak this wonderful life over myself, I want to encourage you to do the same. It doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt to speak some positive, exciting things over, bring those things to God. And if you feel like you're worried, like, oh, I shouldn't be asking all these different things, then bring it to the Lord, because, He's going to listen to you anyways. And if you are really way off, I think He's going to close those doors anyhow. There's failures along the way to bring you to success. So remember that as well. So friends, I hope this was encouraging to you and exciting for you. If I can find that link to that quick little reel, I will put it in the show notes. I didn't even start to dive in to look for it again, but it caught my guard, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to share this with those who are listening to me today. So friends, I hope that you have a fabulous week, and let's explore and let's look toward the things that we can create in our lives. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me as we walk towards this life of flourishing. I appreciate you taking the time to listen, and would love, love, love for you to take a moment to subscribe to my podcast and maybe even leave a review. Likes and reviews like yours will allow my podcast to be seen by others and hopefully help them as they walk through their own journey of growth. So until next time, please remember that you are amazing, my friend, and you are meant to live a life full and flourishing.